gentlemen.
Presto!
Apparently our Twitter feed does not go live, so we'll remove that for now. Save the changes. All right, here we go. You ready?
Well, that's
All right.
I'm ready.
I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
So we're going to start off with a little Oliver Anthony, because
all right, Oliver Anthony.
he's doing a little helpful stuff down in North Carolina, helping those people get back on their feet.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
What the world's gotten to
people
like
because I'm
me,
always flipping through Instagram.
people like you. Wish I could just wake
It
up.
is a damn shame that our
not be
government doesn't seem to
true,
care about
but
North
it is.
Carolinians. So
Oh, it
anyway,
is.
I'm gonna back up the music and
Living
play
in
yours if
this
you can, but we'll see if you can for ours.
Okay.
So
With and home.
Keep it
that's
working.
Oliver Anthony. Yep, it's not playing very well.
All right,
We got to get that fixed, dude. Yeah,
You got an echo?
I can barely hear it.
Rick and Jeff.
Unfiltered, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear us live and unfiltered. We will say stuff that will make your hair curl, make your toes curl. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you
Welcome.
ready to ride?
Welcome
Are you
to
ready
Rick
to
and
ride?
Jeff Unfiltered
Here we
show. Trying to get my Facebook page up. Make sure we're live. Yep, we are live.
All right, here we
Turn
are.
the audio down.
Live.
And we have
In
no
concert.
one watching. Praise God.
No one watching.
Absolutely
Oh,
no one watching.
Shane Cadu is watching. Hello, Shane.
Shane Cadu.
How are you?
I don't know who Shane is.
He's
but
probably down there in Trinidad watching from Trinidad.
Oh,
It's
one
a,
of
it's a
one of those
Trinidadian
fellas.
Shane watching.
Nice.
How are you,
Well,
Shane?
welcome, Shane.
Say something.
Welcome. Welcome to our show, our really big shoe. Really big shoe, where it's got a really, really, really big shoe. So,
Really
yeah.
big shoe. Yeah.
All right. So, where do you
Yeah,
want
how
to
come
start this shindig tonight? So, we got an election
Oh,
coming up.
I don't
in,
know.
a few days.
Less than 2. How many days? 6 days.
6, yeah.
6 days until the election.
Indeed.
No, that's not what I'm
Month of October.
There we
So
go.
we are on the 30th, and we have 6 days. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, November 5th is election day, and we encourage you, whether you believe in our political opinions or persuasions,
BS or not?
yeah,
Yes,
whether
go out
you're-
and vote.
If you are an American citizen, you should be voting. Anyone who's not
Exactly.
an American citizen should not be voting. I just want to throw that
Not
out
be
there.
voting in our election. They should be
Yeah.
voting in someone's election, just not ours. Yeah.
Yeah, can you?
So they
vote like that? I wonder.
the Supreme Court let Virginia go ahead and get those people off the ballot that or somehow, way, shape, or form said they weren't citizens or just didn't hit the box. And the good thing about this is everybody wins here. Obviously, the left ideologic idiots aren't going to agree with this. But the good thing is everyone wins, because if, let's say, I lived in Virginia and I forgot to hit the mark that I was a citizen, and they take me off the rolls today, I can go down on election day, show them I'm a citizen, and vote. So they're not making anyone that's eligible not be able to vote. So that's what people should know. Stop your whining and crying, and you got to follow the laws. And if the law says you got to fill this out correctly, you got to fill it out correctly. There's no no whining in baseball. Come on, man.
There's no whining in politics, you bunch of pansies. Come on, get your
Yeah.
stuff together.
Well, there is whining in politics.
Everyone
seems to be doing it.
It always seems amazing to me that currently, and I'm not saying it's always this way, but currently, the Democrats are the ones that are suing to keep illegal aliens on the voter ballots. It's like, so they marked on their ballot that they're not a U.S. citizen, so they removed them from the voter ballot or voter polls or whatever they call it. And then the Democrats going to sue. You can't do that. You can't do that. And then the Supreme Court hears the case immediately, and like my brother says, they allow Virginia to remove the non-citizens from the voter rolls. So,
and this is a Supreme Court ruling that is one of those ones that just flabbergasts me. 5-4. I'm like, how can this be 5-4? You know, how can this be 5-4? And it just like some of them aren't looking at what the law says. Follow the law. There's no feelings in the law. You follow the law. You know what? Bob Wayman is watching. Hello, Bob. You follow the law, and you should be forced to follow the law. And there's some other stuff coming up. Pennsylvania's got some stuff coming up because, again, their politicians are trying to change how you vote because of circumstance. And that's not how their law is written. Their law says, I forget, it has to go through does it have to go through the courts to change the law, or they have to vote on it or something like that? But one person or two people just can't say, you know what? Some circumstances say we should be able to change this. And so that's not the way
on that note, while you're on that note, it seems to be that's the way the Democrats elected their nominee, because they had a primary and elected Joe Biden, and Joe Biden drops out, and Kamala Harris pops in there somehow. There was no primary.
Yeah, I don't. I've never read anything on that to say exactly whether that was wrong or not. It wasn't. I'm not going to say it was right, because in my opinion, they should vote on it. In my opinion, the Democrats did so much wrong in this election. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wanted to run. They wouldn't let him in. They forced him out. Here we go. They forced him out.
My brother's radio's getting
and if they didn't force him out, he'd still be in, and he'd be the one with the next amount of electoral votes, I'm sure. Or maybe he would have beat Biden to begin with, and they wouldn't be run through this mess with an idiot woman. And I say idiot woman, I don't mean she's an idiot because she's a woman. So everybody just relax, okay? She is a woman and she is an idiot. Those are two different things. I am sure. I was actually called out the other day about on Facebook about, I'm just going to say you don't like women. I go, and racism too. Anybody who knows me knows that's not even close to the truth. But anyways, that's where we're at. And if they'd have done it right, they'd have someone in there who actually got some electoral votes and maybe even beat him in the first place, instead of doing this thing. And I say this, Kamala is just bad. And she could be a man, a white man, a black man, a Chinese man, a Chinese woman, a white woman. It doesn't matter to me. Her policies suck. They're terrible. Okay?
Well, she doesn't want to tell you what her policies are.
And that's the thing well, we know what her policies are. She's just trying to deny them now. That she wants to ban fracking. She wants to take your guns. She wants everybody to have an electric car. There's all this stuff that she wants men to play in women's sports. There's all this stuff that we know she's in on.
Well, men can have babies, right? Hasn't the Democratic Party proved that men can now have babies?
They have not proved it. They have said it.
Dang, I could have swore they said that they could men could have babies, but I digress. So
they did say it. They just didn't prove it because you can't prove that because it's impossible.
Right. So. Well, you have the XY chromosomes, XX chromosomes, YY, whatever they are. I'm not a scientist, so I can't really address that. But I do know enough to say that there are God created man and woman. He didn't create anything else. He created man and woman. So whether it's XY and XX or whatever it is, the chromosomes that are genetically built in our bodies that create us to be men or create us to be women, that we are men or women. That's the way it is. You're born a boy or a girl. So even in the kindergarten cop, they figured
we've had this conversation before. I'm glad my kids are older, because if my daughter was swimming in a pool or had to be in a locker room with a naked boy because he said he thought he was a girl, I'd probably be in jail right now. I'd have done some things. I think I would have jumped in the pool in the boys' lane and held up my arm and said, "This is not a girl." I also, when he went into the locker room, I would have went in there and drug his ass out, because he is not a girl. So
you probably
that's just me protecting my daughter.
You probably would have proved that because he might have been butt ass naked by the time you got in there to drag him out. You'd be dragging him out. Yep, it's a boy. See, it's a boy. He shouldn't be in the girls' room. So,
right, yeah, kind of like that movie Confidential something with Chris Rock, not Chris Rock, The Rock,
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Dwayne
Rock Johnson, and the Kevin Hart, Confidential Intelligence. Is that the name of it? Where in the beginning, the Rock gets dragged out into the auditorium or the gym where everybody's at naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody? How'd you get to look like that? Oh, anybody could do it. I just worked out 8 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. 8 hours a day. I got nothing else going on. So back to the Supreme Court vote. It was 6-3. I think you said 5-4. It's actually 6-3.
I'm sorry, 6-3. Because that's what it is. 6. Because it's 6 conservatives and 3. What do you call the other ones? Not conservatives, libertarians, liberals.
Yeah. So the court did not provide reasons.
So it was right down that line, though.
Okay, I'm trying to read it, but yeah.
Go ahead.
So it says the court.
I keep interrupting you. Go ahead. Okay, try it now.
The court did not provide reasons for its emergency order, but Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson dissented. So there's your 3 liberals that went against the 5 other judges. So
right.
Yeah.
Now is it 5? Is it 6 conservatives to 3 liberals, or did one of the liberals actually vote?
No, I don't.
With the
let me look at another window. I'll see if I can figure out what the.
And this is another thing that kills me. They should not be liberal or conservative. They should be follow the law. That's what they should be. Follow the law. And I'll say this. Someone in my family who is way far left and feelings get hurt regularly told me once that, well, sometimes the law, sometimes there's extenuating circumstances and you have to bend the law. No, you don't. I'm sorry, you don't. The law is the law. There are no extenuating circumstances. You know what? I was brought up in a home and I did drugs. My mother did drugs. My father did drugs. My grandparents did drugs. And now I'm doing drugs. And now I'm in jail. No, there's no extenuating circumstances. I broke the law.
Right.
You know, It is what it is. Come on, man.
Yeah. So it looks like those are the only 3 liberals, I guess, because you have John Roberts, the Chief Justice. He votes both ways, so that's hard to say. Clarence Thomas.
He goes both ways, yeah.
Samuel Alito, he also kind of goes both ways sometimes. Sonia.
He's mostly conservative, though.
Yeah, mostly conservative. I agree. Yeah. Sonia Sotomayor, liberal. Elena Kagan, liberal. Neil Gorsuch is another one. He's more conservative, but he does. I've seen him go to the other side. Brett Kavanaugh, more conservative. Amy Coney Barrett, more conservative. I said Comey. And then Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's the one that was most recently added to the Supreme Court.
She's the DEI hire.
Yeah, she's the one that couldn't just give a definition of a woman. It's like,
and I don't. That's not. Here's the thing. When Joe Biden came out before anybody even applied for the job, I'm gonna hire a black woman to the Supreme Court. He automatically made that a DEI hire. Okay, when he said that,
yeah.
she may very well have been the best candidate for the position, but we will never know because Joe Biden said he wasn't even going to look at anybody but black women.
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Joe
Biden.
Saturday Night Live.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's interesting. So we have that. What else do we have going on today? So on the Christian Science Monitor, one of the headlines in there, which I thought was interesting, is it says moon base to deep space, how China seeks to close gap with the U.S. It's like, well, we're giving them all our technology because we're having everything made over there. How would they not know how to build rockets and shit? You know. So,
and we might add that we haven't done this in a while, but we might add anywhere but China in here now because of this right now.
China, yes, yeah, and
so what people don't understand is it's not the Chinese people that we're aggravated with, because I'm sure most of those are like us. They don't want war. They don't want. They want level playing field. It's the Chinese government that steals our secrets, uses them to create cheap labored stuff, and then sells them back to the U.S. And I'm not saying this because that's what I think. I'm saying this because Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden all have said this. But none of them, except Trump, has done anything about it. And he put the tariffs on them. And that was a start. He needs to do more. People with this crap, tariffs are going to blah, blah, raise our everything. No, they're not. They may raise it a little to begin with, but eventually it's supply and demand, and prices are going to have to come back down so people can afford them. That's just that's what a economy. What's our economy called, Jeff? Somebody's putting hearts and stuff up there, and I can't tell who's on here. So
that's on your side. I'm not seeing anything on my side.
Yeah, I got a couple of hearts and a like, and the thumbs up going up, and I can't see who's on here, so I don't know what's going on.
Nothing's showing up on the stream, so that's great.
What's our economy called? A capitalist.
Capitalism. Yes.
Capitalism economy. That's what it does. Everything will even itself out, and when the government gets involved, they f it all up. Okay. They tried putting a gas thing on way back when I was a kid. I remember they tried to, we're going to put, you can only charge this much for gas, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what they do? Let's just say I'm the president right now. I have control, and I tell the gas companies, we're making a law. Right now, gas is averaging the country $3 a gallon. I'm just making stuff up, but we're just saying that.
Right.
I'm going to say, well, I'm not going to say the most you can charge is $3 because we're already at that point. So I might say the most you can charge is $3.50. Well, you know what happens? The gas goes up to $3.50 immediately. That's what happened. Because the government got involved.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's what
a
Harris
stupid idea.
On doing.
Kamala's bullshit about the grocery stores. I'm going to make a law says you can't gouge. Grocery stores can't gouge. Grocery stores aren't gouging. People pay attention. There's
already a law that says you can't gouge.
And during COVID, they lost money. Okay.
Right.
But they have a right to make money. Okay. And Cruella doing this bullshit about I'm going to put for gouging is just crap. Is what that is.
Right.
Because if you do that, you're going to make things more expensive. When the government gets involved, that's what happens. You can ask anybody. You can buy a toilet seat for a air base in Louisiana for about $2,500. So how does the government getting involved going to raise the price of stuff? That's what they do. You know.
Yeah.
I digressed. Anyways, I blew off the rails there.
No, it's all right. So so the dilemma that we have is people don't want to vote for Trump because of Trump derangement syndrome. They hate the orange-haired guy. You know, he's a terrible guy. He's Just a terrible, terrible guy. And January 6th, he caused a riot in January 6th, and he should never be allowed to be behind the presidential seal again. So January 6th was what, 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, right? So my brother and I were arguing about this the other day, riot. We do agree on the definition of riot, but I found it interesting that in the Oxford Dictionary, when you look up a riot, it has the same definition that my brother found on Siri, but it says like the riot at the Capitol. That's actually what it says in the Oxford
Why would
Dictionary.
they throw that in?
I'm like, dude, so that seems to be the modus operandi. They just want to talk about.
Well, our argument was we both agree it was not a. Geez, I'm losing my mind here tonight. Was not a
insurrection.
What do they call it? It was not an insurrection. Okay.
Yes.
Was not that, and there are plenty of reasons for that. One, I just don't think it was, because if it was, they wouldn't have walked out 4 hours later, or however many hours they were in the building. Might have been an hour, might have been 4, might have been 5, might have been 6. I don't know what it was.
Right.
But they wouldn't have walked out if it was an insurrection. Right. There would have been Congress people in jeopardy for their safety if it was an insurrection. Okay, and now they all say they were. Oh,
AOC
we were scared.
says
blah,
she
blah,
was.
blah, blah, blah.
AOC says she's in fear for her life.
In the building.
She wasn't even in the building.
Anyway, she's a different story altogether. Anyway, so there's that.
So I'm gonna show this really
not
quick.
Not a single person that was charged with anything was charged with insurrection. Not one single person was charged with insurrection.
Right.
Okay. So now me and my brother disagreed.
Oxford Dictionary says a riot broke out in the Capitol. That's their definition of a riot. A riot broke out in the Capitol. It's like, why would you change your definition? What was it before January 6th? What did the Oxford Dictionary have in their definition for riot before January 6th?
Can you look that up?
I can't. I mean, if I had an Oxford Dictionary in my house, I could read it for you, but I don't have an Oxford, paperback.
Right.
See, and this is the thing. People need to understand that there are people out there trying to change transcripts of Bibles and dictionaries and words and stuff like that. But if you have a dictionary that was, published 300 years ago, right? Like I have a customer, he's got one. It's about 600.
Hello.
How's it going? I have a customer that has a dictionary that's published maybe 300 to 500 years ago. It's like 8 or 10 inches thick. He has it laid open on a display thing. It's display pedal, and I'm like, hey, can I look up what woman is in there? You can't change that. You can't go back and change all the copies. You can change all the new stuff. And the thing with the electronic version, like Webster's Online or Oxford Online, they can add that stuff. They can add, riot broke out in the Capitol. But that was never in there prior to January 6th. I can almost guarantee you that, right? So they're just trying to push an agenda that January 6th was a riot and an insurrection. There's so many problems with January 6th, right? The main problem is 8 to 10 days prior to January 6th event happening, Donald Trump was calling for National Guard to be there to protect the Capitol, right? And the people that are authorized to allow National Guard in there, Mayor of Washington, D.C., the Sergeant of Arms in the Capitol has to go to the leader of the House and the Senate, which was Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. So this is not a Republican versus Democrat thing. Nancy Pelosi was the head of the House. She was the Speaker of the House. And Mitch McConnell was the head of the Senate. And both of them said, no, we're not going to allow the National Guard to come here to protect the Capitol. Both of them did, right? And then there's video of Nancy Pelosi where she's walking out of the Capitol or in her car driving away or whatever. This is our fault. We should have protected this. This is our fault. Because she doesn't know that she's being recorded and she's not paying attention, right? Had she known she'd been recorded, she probably would have just kept blaming Donald Trump, Because every time she's on TV, I'm going to go right up there and punch him right in the mouth. I'm going to punch Donald Trump in the mouth. I'd like to see that, first of all. Second of all,
that would be funny.
Yeah. Anyway, but I mean, so there's a lot of other problems. Like the Ray Epps was the day before the riots occurred on January 5th. They're getting together. They're congregating. And he's like, we have to go into the Capitol, and everyone's around him is like, Fed, 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 Fed. So they're basically calling him a Fed, and he's trying to cause problems and cause starting a riot and all this stuff.
Well,
He
here's
was
the
one of
thing.
the ones
Here's
that
the thing. This goes.
pushed the gate down when they first went in. Ray Epps.
Well, here's the thing. This goes back to my original point. There are no extenuating circumstances. Once you broke the gate, you broke the doors, you broke the window, you're the problem. Whether he induced you to do it or not, or said to do it, it doesn't matter. You're the problem. And you know how I feel about this. There was one person that died on that day, and her name was Ashley Babbitt, and a law enforcement officer shot her. And my opinion, I had to my today actually. In my opinion, there should have been many more people shot that day. No one should have been allowed to get in that building. They should have been firing on them and piling up the bodies until they stopped coming in. That's what they should have done, and they didn't. They didn't protect our establishment there. So that's my opinion.
I don't quite agree with my brother on that. I think that they should have done more to protect the Capitol to prevent them from going in. That's why I think they should have had the National Guard there, because they would have outnumbered them, and the people wouldn't have gone in there. Ray Epps and his
I agree with that.
wouldn't have been able to push over the gate and start the process. And here's the other funny thing: there's hundreds of people that are in jail still today for January 6th. And Ray Epps didn't get arrested on the day of the January 6th, and it wasn't until a year or two later that he was charged and released. So
he's charged with a misdemeanor.
Yeah, charged with a misdemeanor. There's people that are still in jail for January 6th, right? The guy with the bullhorns you saw the police officers walking down to the well of the Senate, to see what's going on there. He's actually out now too, but he was also in prison for 100 days or whatever, So the consistency of the way they're charging people is not consistent, and there's a lot of problems with it, and everything that the January 6th committee did was totally a bunch of bullshit. That's why
they were just they were fools, and I go right to the point where they were making a committee, right, and they were going to put 4 Democrats and 2 Republicans, if I remember correctly.
Right, and the Republicans are supposed to be able to pick their
okay. Was it 4 and 2? Was it 4 and 2?
It was an offset, so it wasn't even. So it might have been 4 and 3 or 4 and 2.
I think whatever it was. I think it was 4 and 2, but it was 4 Democrats and 2 Republicans, whatever it was. So as soon as Nancy Pelosi said, "We're going to pick the Republicans on here, not the Republicans," you knew something was wrong. And if you didn't know something was wrong, you're not paying attention or you don't care. Okay. It's kind of like the thing I put on Facebook yesterday. How do you tell when someone's lying? They're the ones trying to tell everybody to shut up. They're the ones that are lying because they don't want their lies to be told out loud as lies. And that's what the Democrats did there. They should have let the Republicans choose the 2 people. That would have given it in the beginning, at least. It would have given it some resemblance of fairness. But by doing it the way they did, we knew immediately it wasn't going to be fair, and it was a witch hunt. Okay,
right. Well, there's 9 people on the committee. I can't tell for sure what it was. It was an odd number, so it might have been 5 to 4.
So it's going to be 7 and 2 then.
I don't think so, but you could be right. But regardless of who
I think there was only 2 Republicans.
The thing was, the Republicans said these are the 2 people that we want in there, and the Democrats rejected them. So there's a little bit more to the story that Rick is talking about. But the Republicans picked 2 people to be on there, and the Democrats like, no, we're not gonna take those. We'll pick our own, and that's not the way that works. It's kind of like this is not a very good segue, but it's going to segue to a different topic. It's kind of like when they had the investigation into the Butler assassination attempt on Donald Trump, right? So they formed a committee to do the investigation, and right now in our house we have 3 congressional members who are ex-Navy SEAL snipers that would have a lot to say about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and they didn't pick any one of those three, right? None of those three were on it. And it's like, well, why? How come those three aren't on it, right? And there's I don't have the video. I wish I had this. Wish I thought about it ahead of this and had this video available. But
I don't go down the same line of thinking as you. Yeah, they were snipers, and yeah, they could have picked them, and no, they didn't pick them. But there could have been a lot of reasons why they didn't pick them. Them just being snipers doesn't automatically make them the best person for the job. Okay, so there could be a lot of reasons why.
If you're a U.S. Navy SEAL sniper, you have a lot of experience about where you want to set up your target, where you want to set up your viewpoint, your vantage point, and like you could look at the area and say, I would set up here, I would set up there, I'd set up there. If my target was going to be on this stage, this is where I would sit, and this is where I would hide to try to kill the president or whoever the target is, right? So they have all that information and knowledge, right? And you're right, you don't necessarily have to pick those, but I just found it interesting they didn't. But there's one of the guys I watch a lot on Instagram and Facebook, more Instagram and YouTube. His name is Sean Ryan. He's an ex-Navy guy, and he worked for the CIA also. But he does a lot of interviewing, and he had a couple of congressmen interviewing the other day, and one of them said, "Yeah, I'm the 434th." Most powerful congressman in the Senate, in the House right now. So he's basically like the lowest ranking congressman in the House.
Right.
They're saying, they're talking about how these committees are formed, right? So basically they say, well, you have to go across the street to do fundraising. And if you get fundraising, the more fundraising you get, the better the position you'll get in these committees, right? And so
it's all about money. That's what it is.
Right. But here it's even worse though. So you'd think, oh, well, John Doe went out and he raised, $4 million. So that's why he got the chair seat for that committee, right? No, John Doe says, you know what? I'm going to write a $4 million check so I can have the chair committee. And they're like, okay, you're in. It's like, wait, what? That's how that works. So basically they're just buying their seats in the, to be the heads of these committees. And it's like, that's how our current Congress is running. And we wonder why shit doesn't work right,
Yeah, because everything's about money. Oh, I got a great idea. Well, you want to get that great idea? You give me some money.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And I've said this before. And if you're a lower ranking congressman or Senate person, you get in. If you don't follow the upper echelons and vote with them almost all the time, then you're not going to get any money from them who are holding the purse strings.
Right. Well, that's what happened to Tulsi Gabbard.
The two-party system sucks. It really does. It's terrible. I don't know what the answer is, but the two-party system sucks.
Part of the reason it sucks is because nobody knows how to talk to each other. So they don't know how to communicate with each other. But
that's part of it. But a lot more than that, I think, is what we just talked about, the money stuff. I get in, I got some, I come in, I get voted in this election cycle. I got a lot of great ideas. I'm going to come in, I'm going to make these great ideas. No, you can't do any of that. You know what? You don't agree with me on this bill. You better vote for it or you're not going to get any money. Then you won't get elected next time.
Right.
Okay. And that's how these idiots work. And it's terrible for our country. And we're basically being sold out to the highest bidder. And right now, the highest bidder is China. China has bought a whole bunch of our people. They put spies in with them, okay? Got them things. I mean, you look at. I'm trying to think. Mitch McConnell was married to a Chinese.
He's married to a woman whose parents are part of the Chinese Communist Party and have millions of dollars. And they gave him like $10 million for a wedding anniversary or something, a wedding gift or something like that. So basically,
don't tell me they're not asking for favors. You got the guy who was sleeping with a Chinese spy, the Democrat.
What was his name? Totally pictures.
He was in California, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was a California dude. So, well, he wasn't.
You got the guy who's yeah, whatever. You got the guy, the Vice President Walz made tens of trips over to China for what?
Hey, he was
in
Tiananmen Square when Tiananmen Square happened. Well, I wasn't.
He wasn't there. That wasn't one of his trips.
But he said it was until he got called out and fact.
He's been over there a bunch of times. That was not one of them. No, he lied about that one. But
right. Well,
I mean, but this is what happened.
Tim Walz lying? Are you kidding me? I don't believe it.
What's that?
Tim Walz lies? Tim Walz lies? What? He was a.
He might have been caught.
He was a E9 in the military. Was it E9? Yeah, E9 is the highest rank in the military, not military, right? For the
no, he was the E9 plus. Like an E9 is a master sergeant, and he was a senior master sergeant, and he was something else on top of that. He said he was, which is like a promotion you get.
He was a chief
after that. But there's something on top of that, other than there is chief master. I don't know if the Army has chief master sergeant. I know the Air Force does.
Yeah, he was in the Army, so it's a sergeant major of the Army. Is what
sergeant major is their highest rank, and then he was something on top of the sergeant. He was something else. He's saying he was.
I think that was it. I think that because he was actually a master sergeant. He applied for in order to be the sergeant major.
Oh, okay.
You have to apply for 2 years of college. You have to complete the 2 years of college, and you have to do your tour of duty in order to get the sergeant major of the Army. And
there's a few things you have to do. Once you apply for it, they give it to you, but you have to complete all these things, and he never completed it.
Right.
So then they take it away.
Yeah, so he was basically a master sergeant. So he also claimed to be a coach, but he was an assistant coach. So that who cares about that, right?
Right.
So it's not like you're denigrating the military.
That's
denigrating
still
the school.
Coach in the name, So
yeah, there's still a coach in the name. Yeah. So that's part of the problem. These people, and I'm not saying Trump's any better. I'm sure you could find stories where Trump has lied or whatever, but I honestly believe that Trump wants to do something for America. I think he wants to make America great again. I don't think he wants to make America part of the one world order or part of all the manufacturing in China or in Mexico or send all our manufacturing overseas. Let's buy our oil from Venezuela, because they're so poor now. We can get it cheap there. Whatever.
Drill.
Yeah. So we have.
But back to the Trump's an egotistic maniac. He truly is, and I like his ideas, but he's constantly patting himself on the back and exaggerating stuff that he does. He does it all the time, but he's not doing it in a way to get more votes. He's doing it in a way to pat himself on the back, where Walz is doing it in a way to get more votes and blah blah. Trump just does stuff like, we had economy. It was the best economy ever. It was probably the best economy ever in the whole world. Yeah, definitely. It was probably the best economy ever. And he does stuff like that. And it was a good economy. It was a great economy. Wasn't the best ever, I don't think. But he doesn't know that. He just says stuff like that, and he does it all the time. I remember that coffee mug. Give it for your wife. Oh, you're the best wife, probably the best wife in the world. And you give it to your wife because it's a Trump cup. But yeah. So,
Trump cup,
but anyway,
yeah. So,
but yeah. Anyways,
we have two flawed candidates where we can both agree on that. I don't think we agree necessarily on the whole full dimensions of it. But you have one who picks as her running mate the governor of Minnesota, who was such a lockdown state, and you can look up videos of him having police patrol streets and shooting people with paintballs if they're standing out on their porch when they're walking by. They're telling them, get in the house. Like, what? I'm on my front porch by myself. And they start shooting paintballs at them. And then they also encourage other people to tell on their neighbors if their neighbors aren't
they had a special number that you could call if your neighbor was walking out in their lawn or something.
So
I bet you they had a lot of grass that grew really high because no one could cut their lawn.
Well, I'm guessing they probably didn't, but the sad part is that we don't really talk about communism or socialism anymore. We want to talk about fascists, but we don't. I mean, the way that they're using the terminology of fascist doesn't even fit. They're doing the fascist acts and calling their opponents a fascist. It's like, wait a minute, and the American people are like, oh yeah, he's a fascist, or oh yeah, this is bad. But it's like you're ignoring what your current party is doing. Your current party is a communist Marxist agenda to undermine the American ideology by letting millions of people across the southern and northern borders come into our country without vetting them, without doing anything about it. And they created an app that if you were in Venezuela, you could download the app and you could apply for asylum, and they would automatically make you a citizen and fly you somewhere in the country, anywhere you wanted to go. This is what the current administration is doing, and they think that's legal because they made it legal. Well, they also made it legal to give back student loan money, right? Oh, well, we're gonna pay off your student loan. Well, the Supreme Court decided that's not legitimate. It's not legal for them to pay off student loans of people, and they did it anyway.
Right.
And then they continued to do it, and then they did it again. So these people
Right.
are the ones that are not,
because they're buying votes. They're buying votes.
Yeah. And they're the ones that aren't following the law. It's like, well, if you're a black man and you want to start a business, I'll give you $50,000 to start a business. What is that? That's buying a vote.
Yep, absolutely.
But
so I looked up the fascism, and here the only part of this that actually fits them is the very first thing it says is a far right authoritarian and ultranationalist, which far right is what is the only thing that fits so far. Political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suspension of opposition, belief in natural social hierarchy. So the only thing out of that fits Donald Trump is the far right. Okay, everything else doesn't fit him, and I might say, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suspension of opposition fits the Democrats because they're the ones trying to put Trump in jail. Okay. Belief in natural society hierarchy, subordination of individual interests for perceived good of the nation or race, another Democratic thing. 15 days to curb the spread. Oh, we're going to make that a year now. Okay. Because we think that's the right thing to do. We're going to do away with your rights because we think it's the right thing to do. It's the Democrats that are doing this, not the Republicans.
Right.
Okay.
So
let's see where else we go.
The Oxford Dictionary, as you're saying, an advocate or follower of, doesn't say extreme right. It says an advocate or follower of the political philosophy or system of fascism. Right. And a derogatory says a person who is extremely authoritarian, intolerant, or oppressive. Who does that sound like? Extremely authoritarian, intolerant, or oppressive.
Yeah.
Think whoever you want to think about that. A person who is very intolerant or domineering in a particular area. This is the Oxford definition of fascist. Has nothing to do with right on there, which I find very interesting. So,
well, I think so. As soon as I read that, kind of like your dictionary the other day put in like the riots at the,
it's the same dictionary. That's why I'm surprised it doesn't say that. Right wing extremists.
But that's why I think this is put in there is because they want to say it's like this. Okay.
Right.
But when you look at everything down there, none of it is like, I mean, they're saying Trump is going to do this, Trump is going to do that, Trump is going to do it. Well, Trump was president for 4 years. He never did any of the shit they're saying he's going to do now if he gets elected. Okay. And maybe he will do some of the stuff. I doubt it, but you can't say that. And then, I mean, and we, all you got to do is look at what's going on, and Yeah.
Oh, here's something I looked up fascism on online, and it goes to study.com. What is neo-fascism? Fascism traces its origins to years after the First World War, when boiling resentment and economic troubles animated new radical ideologies. The ideology had its formal start in 1921 when Italian veteran turned political Benito Mussolini organized the Natural Fascist Party. Mussolini, who's a extreme communist, organized the Fascist Party. So these are not anyone that's Trump, right? Anyone that sounds like a right-wing conservative. Calling a right-wing conservative a fascist is totally contradictory to the whole idea of the definition of fascism.
No, you leave that out of there and read it. Either right or left could be it. Okay.
Right, but
it has nothing to do with your political beliefs. It has to do with what you do as a politician.
Right, you know? But when Mussolini is the one that created the fascist party, what did Mussolini do? Right, he was a dictator that killed a lot of people. Right, and they don't say he was a Democrat or Republican or right wing or left wing. They just said he was.
No, I don't. Democrat or Republican has nothing to do with it, in my opinion. That's why I wasn't even going to read that part, but I read it to make a point.
Right.
That's the thing that he's a right wing, whatever, blah blah blah. No, if you throw that out, it more looks like the Democrats than it does the Republican, for sure.
Well, I heard this interesting story the other day, and I haven't had a chance to verify it or validate it. But basically, the story goes like this: in the Karl Marx book of ideology, it says, if your opponent is winning against you, call him a fascist. Like, wait a minute. And oh, by the way, Kamala Harris's dad is a professor in Marxism and the Marxist ideologies. So think about it. Go ahead.
If you look back on what has ever happened in elections, how many people have been called fascist? I don't remember the whole list. I remember Reagan was called one. I remember Mitt Romney was called one. Trump's called one.
Yeah.
McCain was called one. Those four right there. There was more, but I remember those four.
Right, but I think it's funny because before McCain ran for president, the Democrats loved McCain. Like he was working with Senator Kennedy, and he was more of a liberal in his viewpoints, his voting. But then all of a sudden he runs for president for the Republican Party, and he's like a fascist, Nazi, a right-wing conservative. It's like this is the same guy that was there 3 weeks ago. Yeah, well, that's what they did with their own candidate, Kamala Harris.
Election year comes around. And you weren't a racist then, but you are a racist now. You weren't a fascist then, but you are a fascist now. And this is what they do. This is how they're trying to win, by calling names. Dan Harpel is watching. Hello, Dan.
Hey,
how
Dan,
you doing?
How's it going?
Long time.
They're all going on your feed, so nobody.
You still on the 5 Mile Point racetrack, Dan? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, did he own the 5 Mile Point racetrack?
He did, but I thought he was talking about selling it or just shutting it down. I don't remember which, but he did own it for a while now. But anyways,
interesting.
Yeah. So that's what the Democrats have been doing. They just start they're name callers, and then they have the audacity to say Trump is the one fear mongering when it's them that are doing the fear mongering. It's crazy.
But there's two things I want to make. 2 quick points, which are totally not the same thing or about the same thing. 4 months ago, they were trying to get Kamala Harris off the ticket, saying how bad of a vice presidential candidate she was. Right? And how do we get Joe to run again without Kamala Harris on the ticket? Right? So then Joe drops out, and Kamala Harris is suddenly the golden girl, the best vice president we've ever had. Which is like, wow. Do you guys not realize that you have videotape of you 3 months ago trashing on her and saying how bad of a candidate she was? So that's the first thing.
They don't.
The other thing, they don't. You're right. The other thing is when Donald Trump assassination attempt happened, Biden and Harris are like, well, we need to calm down the rhetoric. We can't we can't talk the way that they've been talking. Well, first of all, you guys are the ones that are saying he needs to be punched in the mouth. I take him in the back and beat him up. You need to get in people's faces if they're in restaurants and don't let them stay there. Anyone who's a Trump supporter, you should let them know they're not allowed. They're not welcome here. And then they actually started talking about we have to take them out. Somebody's going to have to take them out. Whether it's politically, through a court system, or put a bullet in him. They actually said that someone might need to pull the bullet in him to prevent him from being president again.
Who said that?
That's the Democrat Party. I can look it up. I don't know who it is right now, but there's a video of somebody saying that. Yeah, because there's so what's the word I'm looking for? They're so emotionally involved in it right now. They get saying stuff that they shouldn't be saying. Like, oh my gosh, we're gonna stop him one way or another. Someone has to put a bullet in him to stop him, right? But
here's the way. I look at this like this too. It's like, if they're to that, and they are to that point, whether they said it or not. I never heard anybody say, we're gonna somebody may have to put a bullet. But whether they're saying it or not, they are there. They're at that point. Okay. So my question is then, why are they at this point? What is he doing that makes them get to this point where they're willing to go that far, put him in jail, or make whatever, put a bullet in him, whatever the case may be? My feeling is this. He doesn't do the same things they do when it comes to money in the government.
Right.
They are taking money from where they shouldn't be, and he can put a stop to it. And they don't want, that's their livelihood. They don't want that to happen. And they're afraid they're going to lose this money coming in. This is all opinion, by the way. Now, I don't have any facts to back this up. This is just my question. Why are they so intensely against him? And this is the only thing I can think of. I can't think of anything else, because anything else, he's a narcissistic punk. I'll give you that. That doesn't make you act like this. Okay. Right. It does not make you act like this. He called the women, you just grab them by the pussies. Okay. Yeah, he said that. That doesn't make you act like this. Okay. Right. Acting like this is something higher than that. And they're not saying what it is, but my belief is it's about the money. It's about China, the money coming in from China. It's about Ukraine, money coming in from Ukraine, Russia, money coming in from Russia. And the Democrats are afraid. There's a lot of them in there taking money from these people, and they're afraid Trump's going to put an end to it. That's the only thing I can come up with this. Right. And like I said, I don't have any proof. That's just my feeling.
Right. So I'm going to post the comment on here, but basically this is what was said. Oh, shoot. I don't want to post that.
Who said
it was Lincoln Project co-founder Rick Wilson in 2023 said they're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
And when did he say this? Not that it matters. I'm just curious.
2023.
Okay.
See if I can get it to paste.
So it wasn't like a congressman or senator. It was Lincoln Project.
No,
somebody
he
running. And the Lincoln Project.
He was on MSNBC when he said it, though. So he was on like one of the morning shows with the.
There's a bunch of those on MSNBC who say that, who are probably saying it behind closed doors on a regular basis. I'll bet you.
Right.
But yeah. So what is the Lincoln Project? The Lincoln Project is is that the one that has the Green New Deal in it?
I don't know. But is this article, which is on, what is this article on? MSN.com, says flashback video when Lincoln Project's Rick Wilson said put a bullet in Donald Trump. So that was 3 months ago, it looks like. So on Friday, following the shooting of former President Donald Trump, the left let their masks slip. We all saw firsthand not only an unwillingness to take responsibility for their heated, over-the-top Trump as Hitler rhetoric, but also something far worse. One anti-Trumper even once used careless rhetoric saying Trump's opponents need to put a bullet in Donald Trump. It's like,
so here's what it says about the Lincoln Project. It's a leading pro-democracy organization in the United States dedicated to the preservation of protection and defense of democracy. Our fight against Trumpism is only beginning. We must combat these forces everywhere and all times. Our democracy depends on it. Now, I got to say this, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said this, that the Democratic Party right now is more a threat to our democracy than Donald Trump is, no matter what you think. They're the ones. They're the ones that are trying to tell newspapers and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram what you should be able to say and be able to censor you if you say stuff they don't like. They're the ones doing it. Okay, they censored Trump. They took him off Twitter. They took the New York Post story out of the news about
Hunter
Biden's laptop. Yep. Said it was false, and they took it out of the news. This is the thing that the Democrats are doing, okay? And these are the reasons why I'm no longer a Democrat, by the way. These are the reasons why JFK or RFK Jr. is no longer a Democrat.
Right.
Okay. And he's still
Tulsi
a Democrat,
Gabbard.
but he's gone against the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard just became a Republican. Yes.
Yeah. So
and these are the reasons why I am no longer a Democrat, because they're the ones that are going against our Constitution. They're the ones that are a threat to our democracy. I'm not saying everything Trump does is great. I'm not trying to say that at all.
Right.
I'm just saying that these guys are more of a threat than he is, and it's not even close. They come right out and do this stuff, and then they blame someone else. They say someone else is doing this stuff. You know, like they didn't let RFK on the ballot. Then when he decided to go as an independent, they didn't give him presidential protection detain or operation so that he had to spend his own money to protect himself.
Yeah.
Secret Service.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because
then here's another. So then they tried to keep him off of all the ballots. Okay. They're trying to fight to keep him off all the ballots.
Actually,
then he dropped out.
States.
And then
sued the states.
Now they're suing the states to keep him on the ballots. Yeah. It's freaking ridiculous what these idiots are doing. Okay, it's crazy.
And they're the ones that are trying to save democracy. You know, all they're trying to do is keep their job. No, that's all they're trying to do.
That's what they're keeping their job because they got money coming in from overseas that they don't want to lose. That's my opinion.
China,
Ukraine, Russia, probably Iran too. I don't know. Fucker. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you know, it's just comical that you know, the average everyday person, if he spends a little bit of time and effort, can find all this stuff out, but they don't care. Trump's a bad guy. I'm not going to vote for him. You know, when you have Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. on his team and Elon Musk on his team, because Elon Musk is not a conservative by any means. He does believe in free speech. No. He does believe in our Constitution, right? And he's not just saying it like Tim Walz, I'm going to go walk around with a shotgun because I believe in the Second Amendment, you know. So
I have a gun. Look at me. I can't load it, but I got it.
I didn't shoot a single bird when we were out there, but hey, I got a gun. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We got 6 days till our election. We'll probably have another podcast this weekend to talk more about it. But you know, it's like I love the fact that Donald Trump trolled Kamala Harris by working at McDonald's, right? And you know that him working at McDonald's that day was amazing. The way that he interacted with those employees and you know, the people that are coming through the drive-through and he basically in the face of mainstream media saying, look, I've now worked 15 more hours or 15 more minutes than Kamala Harris did at McDonald's. You know, it's like, and then they're like, oh, he's trying to troll her. Well, no shit, he's trying to troll her because she said she was, you know, working in front of the fry machine at McDonald's. She never worked there. So
he didn't hide that. He didn't try to hide that as a secret that he was trying to troll her. Everybody knew what he was doing.
Like,
so call him out. Yeah, you're right. He was, and
right.
he did.
Yeah.
Not only was he trying to, he did.
Well, it's like the snafu that Joe Biden made. So at Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden, they were trying to make Trump look like a Nazi because back in the 1930s there was a Nazi party rally in Madison Square Garden. Doesn't matter the Democrats had held their convention there before, but after that. But
I just gotta say, I think after the Nazi thing that happened in Madison Square Garden, there was no other events there until Trump came. I think I have to look it up, but I think
I think you may be right. I didn't even think about it. You may be right because it's not like Billy Joel was there for a month.
Play there and the Knicks play there. I don't think they do. They play somewhere else. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise, how could you even say that that's the case?
Everyone that's in the Madison
Square Garden is
I'll be back. Yeah. So anyway, Trump had a comedian that made a comment about, there's a big trash pile in the ocean, right? And immediately, if you're thinking about that, that there's a huge trash pile in the ocean that people talk about where the currents swirl together all the plastic that falls off of ships and gets dumped in the ocean. There's this big trash pile and there's actually somebody who's trying to do something about it. I also around. Yeah. So he's talking about this big trash pile, and then he makes a joke. It was Puerto Rico, right? And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he's a racist, effing racist." He made the comment, And here's what Joe Biden said after.
He's not a racist. He's a comedian, and there's a difference. Okay.
Right. So I got
They said Dave Chappelle couldn't get away with what he did. He did. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So we're gonna add it to the stage, right? This is Joe Biden.
Garbage. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of things is unconscionable.
So basically, he's saying that Joe Biden is saying that the only garbage that's out there is Donald Trump's supporters, right? So then Donald Trump comes out because
he hasn't said it yet. Play it. He hasn't said it yet.
What?
The other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
There you go.
His demonization of things is unconscionable.
So Joe Biden makes a statement. Suddenly they're saying that's not what he said. They're putting on a transcript. That's the reality of what he said. That's not an edited video, right? So Donald Trump in classic Donald Trump trolling does this. I think is great.
I like my garbage truck. This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
He's in a garbage truck, in case you didn't know.
He's in a garbage truck. This says Trump bans 2024.
Wayne Beer's watching. Hello, Wayne.
Hey, Wayne, how's it going? I just think it's classic. It's just classic, right?
Yeah.
And yes, he's a narcissist, like my brother says, and he does all this stuff. But you know what? He's funny as hell. He's got a comedic edge. And oh, by the way, he does Joe Rogan, right? Last I heard, there's over 13 million views of the Joe Rogan show with Donald Trump on it.
30. Over 30 million views.
30, so it's gone up. So over 30 million views, right? And Kamala Harris is bragging because at her campaign, she had 500,000 people there. It's like, dude, that is chump change in comparison to 30 million views of Donald Trump having an open 3-hour conversation with Joe Rogan. What's that?
I think she's bragging about the size of her crowd.
Yeah. Well, so along those lines, I'm gonna say this.
Wait, before you go any further, I got one thing. Okay, so there's two things about this, and this is what I think. So first off, the comedian comes on, and he says what he says. Nobody denying what he said.
And they booed him.
It was a bad joke.
Madison Square Garden, they booed him for it. Right?
It was a bad joke. Two things about that. He's a comedian, and he doesn't speak for Trump. Okay.
Right.
Then Biden comes out and says this. Okay. So two things about this. One, I think he misspoke. Okay. And two, he doesn't speak for Cruella. Okay. Last thing I'll say about this.
Trump.
If
Biden, are you saying Biden doesn't speak for Cruella in Biden's statement? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he doesn't speak for her in what he just said. That's not right. So here's the thing, though. The last thing I say is, if you went flipsoid over the comedian who said what he said, you should be flipsoid over what Joe Biden said. And if you just blew the comedian off, you just blow Joe Biden off. Because that's what I did.
Right.
I blew the comedian off. He's a comedian. He's stupid. He made a bad joke. And when Biden said it, he's Biden. He's stupid. He said something he shouldn't have said. Either you can't be flipped out about the comedian and then say, well, Joe Biden, he's just an old man. He did it. And you can't be, well, the comedian just comedian, and then flip out because Joe Biden said what he said.
Right.
You can't do that. If you're doing that, you're not paying attention. You're not being honest with yourself.
Right. You may want to change your wording on there because you just said you blew off the comedian. So you might want to say you brush off the comedian, save it, say you blew him off.
I'll say what I want, brother. Don't tell me what to say. You're not the boss of me.
I'm just trying to help you out, brother. So Wayne Thayer says we need put Sleepy Joe on a slow boat to China. Yeah, I agree. Sleepy Joe on a slow boat to China.
He'd be able to collect all the money. He'd go right there and they'd give it to him right in his hand instead of having to ship it over.
Yeah, there was something
but
else.
But anyway, it's getting late.
There was one other thing I was going to say. I don't remember what it was. Is something to do with
all right, you find it. I'll find the music to end this thing.
I totally had a brain fart because I was laughing my ass off at your comment about the comedian.
Yeah, that happened to me earlier in our conversation about 5 minutes ago. I got this great point. I just got to wait for Jeff to quit talking, and then then you quit talking. I'm like, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Yeah. All right, man. All right. Well, God bless America.
Anyway.
God bless you guys for coming out and listening. Those of you did, and anyone that watches it later on. Oh, so the Joe Rogan show, right? 3.5 hours of conversation between Joe Rogan and Donald Trump. There's no commercials. There's no cutting the commercial or no cutting the the video or re-editing his comments. It's a down to earth commentary or conversation between Joe Rogan and President Donald Trump. And I mean, I haven't watched the whole thing, but Kamala Harris would never do that. He offered it to them, and she said she only wanted to do an hour, and then they backed out. So now JD Vance is also
he had to go to where she was. She wasn't going to come into his studio.
Right.
So
all right, whatever. So anyway, so I
started watching that the other day, and then I remembered the Rangers game was on, so I went to the Rangers game. So,
Nice. All right. Well, God bless America. God bless our troops. Keep them safe. God bless our police officers. We definitely are in support of police officers. God bless America. God bless firefighters and first responders. And thank you all for coming, and God bless America again.
Everything my brother said times 2. Thanks, everybody, for listening. God bless you all. Have a great night. And we will either do – what do you want to do a podcast? Either Sunday night or Monday night, brother. What do you want to do it?
We might do both. Who knows? Do you know who Pastille God is? Yeah, Pastille God is watching.
What's that now?
Pastille God is watching. PASTILEGAWD. You know who that is? Anyway, welcome, Pastille. We're about to end our show, but thanks for coming by.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll do one Sunday night, and then if we do well, maybe we'll do one Monday night too. How's that sound?
Yeah, I think we should. Because I think there's
the
rhetoric's going to get amped up and it's going to be crazy. So
yeah. All right. Hopefully we'll see y'all Sunday night. God bless y'all.
God bless you all.